welcome to my channel. This is Tan, the Monogamous cross stitcher. I thought today I would do a stitch with me, just so you can see me working on my big full coverage piece. So I'm working on Welcome Home by Cherie Gerhardt today. My goal for today is 1,100 stitches, and that's to have me finish by, all being well, the end of September. Hope you're all doing well today. I've just been sorting out my projects to take to work with me. I'm heading to work on the 22nd of August, and obviously because I aim to finish this by the end of September, I need to take another one with me. Plus I'm doing that Stitchy for Witchy one as well, so I'm taking that with me. I've got two fabrics at the moment. I'm not sure which one to choose to do it on. One's like a lilac-y, and the other one is the one I showed you that I brought from the retreat, the grey and white mottled one. I'm not quite sure which one to do it on yet. One is 20 count, and I've measured the other one because I didn't have a label. I think someone gave it to me, my friend Ilona. So I think that one is, I counted 16 when I measured it, so I think that's 16 count. I have done a test bit on both, and in all honesty I'm not liking the 16 count. So I think I'm just going to end up doing the one on the 20 count. My plan for that is to use it for my potion bottle sale for next year. But it's big enough actually that I can fit two pieces on there. So that's what I'm going to do, I think. Well, I'm going to take both fabrics with me, and then I'm going to decide which one I want to work on. But I think it might very well be the grey one. So I will talk for some of this video, but I might go silent if concentration ensues. I have got a bit of block colour, so I should be okay to just chat away. If anyone has any questions about anything that I'm doing today, do ask. I have I was talking to my friend Rosie yesterday, Rosie X Stitches. Hey Rosie, if you're watching this. And I basically was saying that I've started full coverages back in 2015-16. My first one was Lisa Parker, the fortune teller, which is currently on my wall now. That was a mini. That took me 14 months to complete, which wasn't bad going, to say it was my first. Basically, as I've gone along, I've picked up like little tips and tricks to make each of my next full coverages easier. So I discovered, firstly, cxc, which was a lot cheaper alternative when you're doing full coverages, because you know you always need 89 plus colours. The other one thing I discovered was actually it wasn't for a while that I discovered it. Actually, I was very much an extreme cross-country stitcher, so I would just do a complete page of all that one colour, and then etc, etc, and I carried on doing that on my, I think it was the next Heaven and Earth Designs, which was Lisa Parker design again, which was the reader. So I was doing that, but then you find yourself, even though you're doing the same tension, you're getting your visible lines and things. So I thought, can I do about that? So someone mentioned to do like ziggy zaggy into the next page. So I thought, right, I'll do that. So I started doing that, but I wasn't really enjoying it. It's you got to find your way, haven't you? Then I discovered tent stitch. So at this point I'm doing page by page, colour by colour tent stitch with cxc, and I'm thinking, oh, this is great, you know, I'm enjoying this, it's working out well, I'll continue doing this. So that was going down good, and then I got to my third mini, which was Amy Stewart's Cheshire Cat, which, can I just give a tiny little bit of advice to any full coverage newbies out there. If you do want to do a mini, because the regular is extremely daunting, then do not pick an Amy Stewart, because the detail in that is so immense, you will lose it completely in a mini. I was very lucky in my Cheshire Cat because you could see enough of the detail in it, but I don't recommend any of the bookshelves or anything like that. It's just too detailed. So yeah, going back to what I learned, so I continue doing what I learned on my second full coverage, and then I discovered regular. So I did my first regular, which was Oberon by Elizabeth Alba. It's currently 90%, 91, 92% done, but I had to stop because I had a little bit of a boo-boo. So I didn't prepare my fabric. I didn't overcast. I think that's the one I'm after, I'm not sure. Overlock. I didn't overlock the edges. I didn't and sew the edges or anything like that. So over the year, or however long it took me to do, I was fraying. The fabric was fraying bit by bit. And I kept pulling it away, and then when I got to the bottom of my chart, the worst thing ever happened. I didn't have enough fabric to finish the end of my pattern, which then meant that my cat was going to miss the tips of its paw. So, as you can imagine, I was completely heartbroken by the fact that I'd spent over a year on this project, and now I couldn't fit the entire pattern on the fabric. So in a fit of upset and rage, I decided I was going to put it away and come back to it another day. So I spoke to a few fellow stitchers and they said to me, try adding some more fabric on. And I says, well, I've tried that. I says, but it's not sewing properly. It's not sewing on it properly. So then someone suggested, why don't you, sorry, this isn't threading, it's driving me up the wall. Just get my trusty threader, if I can find where I've put it. Aha. So I was talking to some people and they said, why don't you sew a bit of fabric on? So I tried that and that did not work. And that's where it's at the moment. I was talking to some other stitchers and they said, don't bother with the extra fabric sewing it on. Why don't you try stitching it on a separate bit of fabric and then put it next to each other in the frame? I was like, yes, I could do that. That's definitely worth a go. So yeah. I haven't actually gone back to it to sort it out yet. I also got told as well to just use the mount, cover the paw, and you know, it doesn't matter. So it's in the naughty pile at the moment, but what I learned from that full coverage is always prepare your fabric. No matter how desperately you want to start, don't just start. Prepare your fabric first. So that's where I learned about that. Coming on to my, that was 1, 2, 5th. This is my 5th. I do actually have a 5th Heaven and Earth Designs whip, which is Lisa Parker's Mini Brush with Magic. But I do only have 4 pages done on that one, so very dark colours, so I'll come back to that when I'm in the mood. So yes, I started this one, Welcome Home, very much loving it, and I started the usual extreme cross-country stitching. Yeah, loving it, great stuff. Then I got added to a group by my friend, and I was like, what's this group? It's a cross stitch group. So I accepted it, and I was like, oh, what's this group? And it was Royal Rose. It's like, what's this? Well, I'd already sort of started doing like lazy parking. So on this chart, what I found was I'd put the Q snap and then do all of the fabric that was visible, extreme cross country, and then once I'd finished this section, I'd move it over and do another section. So that's basically how I was doing it at the time. And so these Royal Rose, I was looking into that. I was like, oh, what's this? And I had a look into it, and I was already doing the parking, so I'd already sussed out the parking. And it was basically there is tutorials, so I won't bother going into the depth of giving you a tutorial, but so on this one I learned to do a 10 by 20 tower. Do basically a bit at a time. Just excuse me while I cut my waist threads. So basically do a little bit at a time, a tower at a time, and yeah, great. So I started doing that and loving it. So I've slowly converted this, I don't know, as you can see over here, there, how it was extreme, and I've slowly started converting it down to the Royal Rose method. So what I've learned with this head is to go from extreme cross country to Royal Rose to parking. So I've learned quite a lot of tips and tricks while I've been doing these full coverage pieces. Also a couple of things I've learned in the last couple of weeks or so, completely on accident. I learned how to do a loop start at the front. My friend was telling me about I've lost my trail of thought. I'll come back to that. So I learned how to do a loop start at the front, which a pin stitch, that's the one. So my friend was telling me about pin stitch, and she was saying, oh, pin stitch is great, you know, you start at the back. And no, well, if you know how to do a pin stitch, you know how to do a pin stitch. I have tried it, I can't get on with it. It confuses me, I don't know why, it just really does. So I decided to try this loop start, and I was like, oh, this is a game changer, because it was getting, I've got a Lowry stand, but unfortunately I don't have the proper space to use it in my room, and I can't always have it up downstairs, so I don't use it very often, which is such a shame, as it's sitting gathering dust, but I will eventually when I get into my own house. But yeah, so I found a stand which you put under your leg, and I wanted it so it would flip, not over, but over like a book. And I found this stand, and it was brilliant, fantastic, brilliant stand, loving it, fit perfectly, rested on my chest, which is how high I like my stitching. And I was like, oh, it's just a pain having to keep flipping back and forth. And someone said, well, when you're tying off your threads at the end, this was the other thing I learned. So I learned the loop start all by myself, actually by accident one night. But it was still a nightmare, keep flipping, because in the eye confetti areas on this, you're constantly flipping from the front to the back with threads that can't be parked, they need to be finished. And my friend said, I don't do that, I never flip my work. I says, what do you mean you never flip your work? She says, well, I put all my waist threads on the front. It's like, okay, how'd you do that? Well, she didn't exactly go into great detail, so good old YouTube, looked for a tutorial, and there it was, showing me how to sort the waist threads. So I went onto there and had a look, and basically that there is a waist thread. So that's my parked one there, and that's my waist one. So then when I get to here, and I know it's been secured at the back, I just cut it off, and then I don't have to keep flipping my work, which is so much easier. can I say? Makes life very easy indeed. So while I've been doing full coverage pieces, I have learned a lot, and it makes me quite excited for my next one, because all the things I've learned in my last many I can put into practice on this one. So yeah, it's all quite exciting when you learn new hints and tips from people, but it's even more exciting when you figure it out yourself by accident. So yeah, that's basically that. I mean, it's like I never used to do, I'd never heard of two-handed stitching in my life. And when my friend Bentus first started stitching, she brought a Lowry. I think that's what inspired me to get one as well, actually. So she was doing this two-handed stitch. I was like, I've never done that before. She said it's much faster. So I thought, I'll have to give it a go. So I basically gave it a go, and I was like, oh, this just feels really, really unnatural. Now, we had this discussion at the retreat, actually, and I'd love to know in the comments, so definitely let me know. If you're a two-handed stitcher, does your dominant hand go on the top or at the bottom? Do let me know, because I'd love to know, because I was asking quite a few people, and it was funny to hear that every single person I asked, there was only 3 of us that has our dominant hand on top and our less dominant hand underneath, which apparently is very strange, because the people are having their dominant hand underneath to guide to the holes. Yeah. So I thought that was quite interesting, actually, so I'd be interested to know what you all do when you're stitching. But yes, I'm just working on this this tower at the moment. I've actually made quite a lot of progress since my first floss tube, because because I'm on a goal, it's not so much that I'm rushing to finish. I'm excited to finish because I'm ready to start my next one. So yeah, it's quite exciting. Do you know, I'm so not used to using a threader either. I just can't seem to get it to want to play the game. Surely it shouldn't be that difficult to thread a flipping needle. Yes, so I was saying I've made quite a lot of progress since my first floss tube went live. Sorry if my hand keeps going in the camera. I'm trying my first stitch and chat, trying to get it positioned well enough so you can see what I'm doing without getting my hand too much in the camera. It's very hard. But yeah, so I was saying I was just sorting my projects for when I go to work next week. I'm away for 6 weeks, so I need to make sure I've got enough to keep me occupied. So I'm taking my witchy stitchy stuff And then I'm going to be starting that chart in October for the Stitchy for Witchy. And I'm also taking my Hocus Pocus with me as well. I think I was thinking the other night, because someone said, I think it was Danielle, I don't get how you can be such a monogamous stitcher. I said, I don't know, I think it's because I don't like having loads of kits all kitted up and in my way and whatnot. So yeah, I just really prefer to focus on one at a time because I really enjoy it. I don't get bored of the project I'm working on. I think I get more bored of working on smaller projects, which doesn't make it. Well, even bigger projects that aren't full coverage, I get bored. It makes no sense. I have no idea, but it's just that. Oh yeah. Make sure I've done that right. Don't want any mistakes, that wouldn't be good. So I was saying that my Hocus Pocus is the first cross stitch I've ever, well actually no, it's not the first cross stitch I've ever done that's a person. I did actually do a lady for Richie's mum. I'll have to show you a picture in my next floss tube of ones I have finished. But basically, since I've discovered full coverage, that's the way my heart now lies. But yes, Hocus Pocus is the second people I've done. God, those birds are noisy out there. Second people I've done. Some really pretty colours in it actually, so I'm really quite excited to start that one. The joy of the needle minders keeps the waste threads down. Very excitable bird out there. While I've just been here stitching with you, I've just finished a colour. So I've just finished 972 on the whole chart. I'm going to take that out of my box. That's that one done. I'm going to keep it aside, because what I tend to do is, I'm not sure if anyone else does the same or if it's just a monogamous stitcher thing, but I tend to, when I'm starting to kit up my next one, I start to keep the colours aside and see if I need them in my next one, because I'm not a very big fan of bobbinating either, so it saves the effort of bobbing all the same colours again if you've already got them bobbinated. You know, it just makes, well, I'm not seeing that very well. There we go, that's better. So that's what I tend to do. Does anyone else do that as well, or is that just me? Oh, looks like I'm going to finish another colour while I'm here, ladies. And gents, if you're watching. I think I have already taken this out of my box though. So have a look and see. Yes, I have already taken that out of my box. Lots of colours being finished today. It's very exciting. Don't mind confetti, really. I think the only problem that annoys me with confetti, and it's probably the same for quite a few of you, is the constant need of having to thread and finish off a colour, which is a bit of a pain in the bum. Here's another colour I'm finishing now. I think when I was doing the row above and I was looking how many was left, I'd already took some of these out of my box, left the part thread. I knew that was going to be the last colour. And here's another colour I'm going to finish. That's 4 so far. It's good going, that. So I've noticed that a lot of the colours in my box now are turning blue, ready for Ravenclaw. Which is quite exciting. It'd be nice to get to a bit of block blue. think all these colours here are being finished actually. I just want to say as well, thank you for everyone that's watched my first floss tube as well, and everyone that enjoyed it. I very much enjoyed making it. It was good fun. So just trying to at the moment decide when is best to, how often to upload. I might basically see how life goes, really. I mean, to be fair, at the moment, I've made quite a bit of progress on my cross stitch, but I've also read two more books in the space of 2 days, so I've gone a bit audiobook mad. I'm trying to calm down a little bit on the books. But got an Audible subscription, and with it being, I think it was, is it $7.99 a month? I can't remember. For just one credit, I found myself being quite picky on what audiobook I wanted to choose, because if it ended up being not a very good book, then you feel like you've wasted that credit. So I discovered this other app for any of the avid audio readers out there, BookBeat, and you can have, I think it's 3 or 4 different subscription types. So I've got, I think it's $9.99 a month, and you get 50 hours. So that can be like 4 or 5 books depending on the length of the books, or even 3 books depending on the length of the books. So I highly recommend BookBeat if anyone's interested in that. Sorry if there's any background noise. I know the birds can't be excused. I've got this totally off track. My client's daughter told me about this app, and if you've got specific birds in your garden and you're not quite sure what birds they are, you can have a listen to them. So I downloaded this app because I said, oh, there's this really annoying bird in my back garden. I says, it's been there for years. I says, I don't know what bloody bird it is. I says, but it's driving me up the wall. I said, it's like an irritating noise, you know. So she told me about this app, and I downloaded it. I was like, right, I'm gonna play this app and find out what this bird is. Well, the magpie. I was quite shocked, actually. I was quite shocked. Got a very, very irritating call. And when I've played it before in my garden, literally all that comes up, it's quite funny, is crow, magpie, and a pigeon. So just shows. You can hear it now, look, it's off. And another one bites the dust. There we go, it's not a bad bit of section done there in 40 minutes while I've been chatting away to you all. Just gonna have a very quick drink. I hope you can all hear me okay. I'm trying not to talk too loud because my phone recording is quite close to my face, so I'm trying not to talk too loud because I don't want to deafen you all. So I'm trying to be a little bit quieter, but hopefully you can hear me okay. Just thought while I've sorted out my projects to take to work with me, might as well do a little bit of a stitch with me while I'm sitting here quietly stitching. So this is how I do the loop start. So I go in, come up through that hole there. I'm not sure if you can see. Through there, pull it down, and then you sort of go behind down the hole again, and then you pull it through. I'm not sure if you saw that okay. It wasn't a tutorial as such. Just thought while I'm here changing colour, starting a new bit of thread, I would show you. So like I'm saying, it's not very often I stitch one-handed. I have been for the last few days. I'm not sure why actually, because I'm normally quite comfortable with my lap stand, whether it be sitting in bed or sitting on the bed or in the chair. Sorry for the door slamming, everyone. I have a very excitable nephew who lives here with me. It's not exactly quiet. As we're now kids. Kids aren't. taking him to the cinemas Thursday to see the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film. Not gonna lie, quite looking forward to it because I do like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So that'll be fun. Possibly slightly stressful as well. I'm not very kiddie orientated, so as much as I love him, he does stress me out a little bit when we're out together. There we go. Oh, I've just finished another one, ladies and gents. Amazing. I like when this happens, when you start finishing loads of threads. As you can see, I've got quite a gathering of waist threads under there now, but I will wait until I get a bit, probably do that row there, and then I'll start cutting them back. Tend not to leave the tails too short though, because I don't want to get them trapped or pull them under, and obviously I don't want to what's the word I'm after 300. And then obviously the parked threads as long as possible. So I'm just going on to the next colour. I won't be running out of this colour on this section though, as there is a lot of 300 in this still. I also, while I'm just thinking about it now, discovered a new tip as well by myself. Don't know if anyone's ever done this before on full coverage, but I figured it out myself. So this strand is really quite short, and if I singled it and doubled it over, it would be very short. So I'm going to leave it together, but there's no hoop, as you can see, on the end. So with this, what I tend to do, it's worked every time I've done it, so I'm just going to carry it on. So go down with it, and I'll leave a little bit up. Now it changes every time I do it, so I'll leave that there, and then I start into the next 10th stitch, and then the next one. So I've popped it in the first stitch, but I haven't stitched that first stitch yet. Now I have done it so I put the tail down and I've stitched over it. I have done it so I've cut it off and then continued on. I'm still finding out what works better for me in that sense, because obviously I don't want it to get lost. So I'm going to do it the first way I showed you, which was, so I'll do that one last. So I've done a few stitches around it and then bring it down, and I'll still leave it there for now. I could normally cut it at the end when I finish stitching, but I'm just picking up tips from people and learning new things myself, you know. mean, there is no right way and no wrong way of how anyone stitches. At the end of the day, it's a hobby that we all enjoy. We do it to relieve our stresses and our anxieties, depression and whatever else, and it just calms us, you know, calms us down and centres us, and nice bit of an escape, especially if you've got a good audio book on the go as well. Let's move my pattern keeper up. I don't always park to the right. Most times I park. I always look to see where the colour's needed next. If it's needed in the dungeon, I park down here. If it's needed in the left tower, or if it's needed in the tower after, then I do sometimes park there, because I am a little bit of a rebel. And that's it for that tower. Just mark those off and park this over here. There we go. So the next colour I'm going to use will be, I think, 400. Yes, 400. So we'll be cutting that tail off in a minute, so you can see what I do. It's one thing I've discovered with even weave as well. Since I've been doing royal rows, my stitches have been a lot flatter compared to when I was doing extreme cross country, and I've discovered that I couldn't understand why my stitches were still quite high. Couldn't understand why they were quite high. What I mean by that is some are really flat and some sit quite high, and I couldn't understand why that was. I thought because I'm doing the same tension on every single stitch, and it turns out that the reason that is doing that is because it's even weave. So it's basically because some bits are higher and some bits are not. Yes, I've been stitching on even weave since 2015, and I've only just recently discovered that. What can you say? So yeah, that's that. Right, let's get the next colour. This is a max colour, if you didn't already know, and some of the called for colours are just a little bit confusing, because it's like, why would you put that colour in the middle of an orange and yellow area, which baffles me. In my personal opinion, unless I'm doing something with some amazing great detail again, then I don't think I'd do a max colour again, because I don't feel that those extra colours are worth the effort, in all honesty. But that's just how I feel. So we're using this colour now, which is literally 732, and that is going in here, which makes no sense to me, but there you go. So I'm just going to do my loop start here. I love this loop start at the front, it just makes life so much easier. I'll do that one here first. Sometimes get a really stubborn one, it doesn't want to go through the hole. And this is how I end up with bent needles. Right, so what I tend to do now is I'll come up there, I'll give this a cut, and then down we go. There you go. So I find if you've got a really short thread that you don't want to separate because it's going to end up being even smaller, then give that a try and see if it works for you, because it works absolutely fantastic for me. I discovered it by chance, as I have quite a lot of things. Oh yeah, there we go. Looking good so far. The tower's nearly done. Just need to get the scissors to show you. So I just need to do this row along here and then just fill in this little bit here. There is quite a few colours in this little area, because it is the joy of being max colour. I have basically got all of the colours out, bar a couple that I will do in this little area here, which I will complete now off camera. I just basically wanted to do a little stitch with me. So from now on, what I am going to do is I am going to do an official floss tube where I show you my whip up close and talk about books, TV, and my other projects are going. I can show you the whips that are currently in the pile, and then so yeah, my usual floss tube, and then in between I will do some stitch with me so you can see my current project, which is this one being stitched. So that's what I'm going to do. But anyway, thank you very much for joining me for my first stitch and chat, and I will catch you all in the next one. Take care. Bye.